Let us pray. God of justice and mercy, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of 29 Palms. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Help us see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us and to treat all people, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping us to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Roll call.
Councilmember Wright,
Here.
Councilmember Scott, Councilwoman Ramirez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Here.
Mayor Bildering.
Here.
All present.
No closed session announcements. Changes to the agenda.
Thank you, sir. There may be one change coming up, but we're working on identifying if we can overcome an issue.
Thank you. Announcements.
I'd like to make a change to agenda, please.
Okay.
I'd like to remove item number 14, the Housing and Homeless Subcommittee. We have not actually had an opportunity to deliberate on that issue.
This is for info only. This is not even a vote or nothing. This is just conversation, and if
I have an objection to that. We actually have met twice, and I think that we should move forward. I believe that housing is key and that it should stay on the agenda.
yeah, the conversation will go, and then you guys will do a subcommittee meeting. So this discussion would be like you guys should you guys would look into this, right? This is not a vote.
I understand, but there's like a proposal in that agenda.
Well, nothing's gonna get done proposed. This will be you guys subcommittee, then you guys will bring it back as a recommendation or as a subcommittee. But this is to say that you guys should meet and look into this. Does that make sense? Okay, this is not a vote. There's no proposal getting done, nothing. That's just, okay. So we'll get to that later then? Okay. Alrighty, so we're good. Let's continue to March. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 28 Palms website at www.20palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going on the website and clicking on meeting agendas link. Awards, presentation, appointments, and proclamation. Number 1. I guess I'll read it from here because I'm not doing the presenting. City of 29 Palms proclamation recognizing Kathy Dunbar. Whereas Kathy Dunbar, resident of 29 Palms, is the driving force behind the Alex Roth Memorial Food Pantry, where she has been volunteering and organizing since 2003. And whereas, whether it is working at the pantry, volunteering with Girl Scouts, and shuttling teens to the Oasis Community Church Youth Group meetings, and whereas, though Kathy's service as the Alex Roth Memorial Food Pantry, she has worked in the spirit of cooperation alongside many local community organizations to create lasting partnerships that support everyone's goals. And whereas organizations like 29 Palms Community Food Pantry, Reach Out Morongo Basin, the 29 Palms High School Interact Club, and many more have benefited from her generous efforts. And whereas Kathy's peers and church community describe her as a generous woman who has been serving her church and her community for many decades. And whereas Kathy's love and compassion are displayed when she organizes her annual Christmas and Easter outreaches for local children and seniors. Additionally, Kathy enjoys private acts of kindness and is very given of her time, treasures her talents to those in need. 29 Palms is indeed privileged to have such a giving, heart-warmed, and charitable individual calling 29 Palms her home. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the City Council of City of 29 Palms does here recognize Kathy Dunbar for all her efforts and volunteering as the Alex Roth Memorial Food Pantry. In honor of Kathy Dunbar, we all call upon residents of 29 Palms and the Morongo Basin to acknowledge the faithful and dedicated service she has performed over the years, dated this 26th day of August, 2025. You have a speech ready? It's a surprise, right?
Yes.
They made you come here.
No.
Did anybody else want to say anything about her? No one else? Oh, here she comes.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm Michelle Roney. I'm Kathy's pastor at Oasis Community Church, and I just want to say, all the work that she does, she puts in so many hours, and so much of her own money into the Alex Roth Memorial Food Pantry, and also the Children's Christmas Blessing and the Senior Blessing, and right now she is going through some medical issues, and she just keeps going. And so I just want to say thank you, Kathy, for all that you do. And we want to recognize you in the here and now while you're here, so we can just let you know how much we love you and how much we appreciate you and everything that you do to help our community and make our community a better place. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to council comments and reports of meetings attended. Council Member Scott.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I had two subcommittee meetings on the housing and homeless regarding Coachella Valley Housing Coalition, and I also attended the back-to-school backpack giveaway by Ready for Reading Book Club and Winging It, and I met with several constituents regarding flooding.
Thank you. Councilman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So let me go down this list. I went to the backpack giveaway with Ready for Reading and Winging It. I attended a JPA meeting, and it's business as usual. You know, the same thing going on, SB 1383, all that good stuff. Other than that, they didn't really report anything new. Also went to the Stater Brothers grand opening. Attended, even though I came late, I came to the casino shuttle ribbon cutting. I also did Momo G's pet daycare, supposed to be ribbon cutting, but we didn't have the ribbon, but we were still there. And I have to give a shout out to her daughter, because her daughter did a lot of the artwork in the center, and she did it freehand, and it was amazing. I mean, the work that she did, it was beautiful. And when I talked to her, she said she wanted to be a dental hygienist, not an artist. So go figure with kids. And I also attended the Shop with a Cop. Got a chance to go to Walmart and shop with a young lady. She was very decisive on what she wanted. So that was great, though. It was awesome to get a chance to do that. And then also want to let everybody know that we have Warhawks football started. Our first game is going to be on the 13th of September. and it will be on the 29 Palms High School football field. So that's a great feat and a big step for the program. So I want to let everybody know that. All right. And and happy belated birthday to the mayor. His birthday was Sunday. All right.
It
Thank
was
you.
also his birthday too, so just like, yeah. But it dime me out. He got me by 10 years, but it's the same day. When I dime me out, I'm gonna dime you out. No. Councilwoman Ramirez. You're still writing? You see where we went? You remember? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see. First, I want to thank all the staff for their hard work yesterday. Obviously, when those storms hit, they always have extra work to do. The whole city hall, everyone, and especially the road crew. You guys did a phenomenal job. A lot of comments, and obviously today they had to go out again. But luckily, the rain passed us by. I went to Stater Brothers ribbon cutting. The Wing It got an award for Business of the Year. I had a Basin Transit meeting, and then also had a Mountain Desert meeting, Measure I meeting. I also went to the shop with the cop. I got there about 10 minutes before it was supposed to start, and Mac they were almost done because they started early, because they got there early. So at least I got to tag along with Mac for that one. Park cars up at Sky's the Limit. They're still having a lot of folks show up for that. Even when they think the weather's going to be bad, they still show up, and a lot of out-of-town visitors go to that Night Sky. And I've been noticing other entities and other organizations are starting to kind of piggyback on night sky things, like watching the stars. I did notice there some of the folks are starting to do that. And I also had a air quality meeting in Victorville yesterday, and that's about it, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Want me to go or you? Okay. Councilwoman Ramirez.
I went to the Stater Bros ribbon cutting, the ribbon cutting for the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians shuttle service that they'll be offering to the Marine Corps. I went to the Hope Center back to school giveaway. I met with Congressman Obernolte. We discussed bringing more resources for veterans and helping local clinicians, care providers, become part of the VA Community Care Network. They've sent me all the paperwork. I will be having a meeting to pass that information on to anybody that would like to become part of that network so that they can be working through the VA. This is a really, I think, a phenomenal thing, because what's going to end up happening is now there'll be more VA service providers within the area, and veterans won't have to go all the way to Loma Linda to get the care that they need. We also discussed my concerns about some products that are being sold at gas stations that contain synthetic opioids. One of them being a product called Feel Free. It is currently being advertised as a herbal supplement, I believe is the word that they're using, but it has a lot of cause for concern, simply because, as you guys understand, fentanyl, there's a crisis with that, and that also started off as a synthetic opioid. So I also attended the East Desert Regional Steering Committee for Homelessness for the County of San Bernardino. I had 2 meetings with our 29 Palms Housing and Homeless Subcommittee meeting. I had 2 meetings with the 29 Palms Music Series Foundation. Couldn't remember the last one, I'm sorry. I had a meeting with the TBID Oversight Subcommittee. We did a back to school event with Ground Zero and America's Choice Real Estate. I have also met with the city manager and a representative from the Boys and Girls Club. We are moving that project along and really gaining traction and learning what goes into opening a Boys and Girls Club here locally. I met with NPHS. We discussed possibly a multi-level housing, and then they also talked to us more in detail about their Aging in Place, where they help seniors. They have a program where they have grant money. They help seniors to be able to stay in their home. So if it's renovations that need to be made to doors so that they can get through it with walkers, if they need a wheelchair ramp, if they need grab bars, whatever it is that would be done there, An occupational therapist will come out to the senior's home at no cost, do a functional assessment, and then they come in and help pay for and facilitate all of the renovations needed for the seniors to be able to stay in their home safely. I met with another developer. It was addressed to me that his name was missing from the agenda, and that was a very simple oversight. I understand that our staff was working really diligently on getting that report out, and when they asked me what his name was, I could not remember it, and his name is Stevie T. I also had the honor and pleasure of meeting with Miss Trish Smith. She is the wife to General Smith. General Smith is the Commandant of the Marine Corps, and I was very proud to be able to voice concerns on behalf of our active duty military families and spouses, and just be in a room of a lot of expertise and leadership. I met with the Wellness Equity Alliance. They're expanding up to the high desert. Amazing group of people, nurses, doctors, licensed clinicians that are doing street outreach and providing services. And I met with multiple constituents who brought to my concern, they brought me their concerns, pretty much stating that they wanted more transparency and that they wanted us to be open more as a council. And in those conversations, lots of things were brought up. One item that kept being brought up was a roller skating rink, and why it was advertised that we would have it, and kind of just, they felt like the council altogether made them feel like it was something that was gonna go through, something that was promised. I wanted to clarify that it was an idea, and whether malice was intended or not, in the spirit of transparency, the reason it will not be moving forward is because we identified that there may have been a potential Brown Act violation in the person who brought up the idea, and then talking to 2 other council members. That's all. Thank you.
All right. I attended Stater Brothers ribbon cutting ceremony. Is this on? All right, here we go. The back to school supply handout with the base and school district, T-Bit Oversight Committee, casino shuttle ribbon cutting ceremony, sanctuary church bags and school supply event, shop at the cop. I got there on time and they're already done, so I just got to be at the register, just shaking hands. Met with Congressman Jay Obernolte. We went over mental health and everything Ms. Ramirez said, along with meetings with citizens. And last night, did a lot of meet and greets last night with citizens. And I will say the neighborhoods were in full force being neighbors last night. Every block I went to last night, if the city couldn't get there was someone there trying to help. If it wasn't for the national park or the water district, first responders, citizens, we got the Brian Derbys of the world out there directing traffic. So it was, unfortunately, it's always when the worst case scenarios when we all come together, but it's good to know we have each other. So thank you for everyone being very supportive yesterday and last night, and continue the day. Let's see, moving on. Consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar will be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the city council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items prior to the city council's actions. At this time, the city clerk will read the titles of the ordinance listed on the agenda. City clerk, are there any ordinance titles to be read this evening?
Yes, Mayor, we have 3. I will go ahead and read the first one. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of 29 Palms, California, adopting an amendment to the City of 29 Palms Municipal Code, adding Chapter 1.06, City Seal. Then we have Ordinance 322, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of 29 Palms, California, approving Development Code Amendment 25-00004, establishing the Open Space Conservation Zone. And then we have Ordinance number 323, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of 29 Palms, California, amending the city's zoning map, approving rezoning 25-000001, and rezoning assessor's parcel number 0614-121-15 from single-family residential estate density RSE to commercial tourist C-T and open space conservation OS-C.
All right. Council on the consent, any pull besides one we talked about? On that one, would you? And we pulled any?
No, we're not pulling any of the consent items.
No, no. Is there public?
Does public have any public comment? But I don't have any.
None? I do have a letter from Ms. Cindy Bernard on number 7 that will be put into the package. Back up here.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Second.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
No items removed. Public hearing, done. Discussions of potential action items, number 10.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So our first item, item 10 here, is a subcommittee recommendation for contributions to nonprofit organizations. And this is something that Mr. Clinkscale is going to present to the council.
Alrighty. So, on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, the city hosted the 2025-2026 nonprofit grant application workshop, giving local nonprofit organizations that had submitted grant applications the opportunity to present information about their work and their funding requests directly to the city council. The city allocated $75,000 for fiscal year 2025-26 to support local nonprofit organizations. This year, 11 organizations applied for funding and presented their proposals at the workshop. You'll see their funding requests as follows. Following the workshop, the subcommittee reviewed all applications and provided the following funding recommendations. They're recommending 29 PSP for $3,800. The 29 Palms Community Food Pantry and Outreach Ministries, Inc., $32,500. Morongo Basin Unity Home, Inc., $10,000. Reach Out Morongo Basin, $22,500. And Theater 29 for their youth programs, $1,200. The subcommittee is also recommending allocating $5,000 from that grant to the Joshua Tree National Park Council for the Arts for its annual art expo. Yeah. That's what we've got. So if you have any questions.
Council, questions? Public? Nothing from the public? All right, back to council.
Let's see, how was that written? I'll move that the subcommittee recommendation for contribution to the nonprofit organizations be passed.
Second.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you, Scott, for all that hard work, organizing all that. Number 11.
Thank you, Mayor. So this has been an item that the council has asked about here for a little while in terms of what steps are we going to take in order to update the general plan. Updating the general plan is typically done every 10, 15, 20 years. It is arguably a best practice would be theoretically every 10 years. That can be very expensive. And so Mr. Gardner here has come up with some ideas and some strategies that we've discussed on how we can go about doing that. Mr. Gardner?
Yeah. So in order to minimize exterior costs, so our initial thought is to do a complete research on the ownership of the parcels within the city limits and see which parcels are owned by, for instance, government agencies, for instance, like the National Park Service. And now that we're establishing the open space conservation zone, perhaps those should be zoned as open space in the future. There are other governmental entities that I think we need to recognize in our land use plan, like utility companies, water districts, et cetera, that also need to be reflected. And then after we get done with that research, then we'll come back and say, okay, if we're, for instance, losing some residential potential because we're losing some residentially zoned properties, how would we make that up? We would work on that internally, and then we would work with each individual city council person for your particular district on our recommendations. Those are be the next 2 or 3 steps. And then as a result of those, then we come up with the next few steps after that. So we would definitely have to have community meetings. We'd have to bring in, at some point, a CEQA consultant and technical consultants to help us address traffic and things from the revised land use plans. So that's our proposed first step approach for revising the general plan. We want to get the city council's feedback on that and see if you agree with our approach.
Well, I totally agree with the approach. When I first got elected 15 years ago, the council before decided to do it, and the cost was almost $1 million. So I don't even know what it'd be now if there was almost $1 million back then. So I think this is a great approach to get started. Obviously, at some point, some consultants will probably have to be called, but at least if the main work is done, then our costs will be minimal. So I like the approach.
And that's definitely the intent, is to minimize costs.
Anyone else, council?
I like the approach as well, so.
Public? Do you have anything? Cindy? No? No? Back up here?
That was receive and file, right?
Did you receive? Yep.
Yeah.
All right, number 12.
Great, thank you. So this item, I'm going to move over to the podium here, and this is going to be kind of an overview of the draft 5-year strategic plan. Okay, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the draft strategic plan. And so thought we'd go back to some of the basics just for the folks in the audience to really kind of unpack what is the purpose of a strategic plan. And so this has been something that we've been working on since really January of this year. I think that we've made significant strides, and tonight is going to be that opportunity to go over that. And so at a recent Rotary meeting, somebody asked this very question: Stone, why go through the time and the effort of a strategic plan? And so really what it does is it allows the stakeholders in the community, right? The community, the business owners, the council, city staff, to really talk about who we are, who we want to become, and how do we get there. And so it is the purposes of facilitating that discussion and really ultimately creating a roadmap for what that will look like. Our city, like every city in the United States, has limited resources. And this city, I believe, is especially effective at doing an awful lot with very little. And you see that in the working directors, the number of hats that Keith wears, Craig Stacy, Haywood. And so what is the plan? What does it look like? So first we're going to talk about the values, the vision, the mission. And then based on those values and vision and ultimately our mission, then we can start breaking it down into the goals. And specifically, we've got a different goal. One might be being fiscally sound. And so what are the objectives of that goal? Why do we have that goal? And then what are the strategies and the actions? And then specifically, how are those actions broken down into short-term, medium-term, and long-term? And so this process, like I alluded to earlier, began in January, and here we are close to the adoption. Tonight is just the presentation of the draft plan. And since this is a comprehensive document, this is really an opportunity for the council to take the time over the next few weeks and take a look and see if there's anything that you would like some additional clarity on, or anything added, or maybe something you don't agree with. So we want to get into the meat of it, really the values. And so this was based on a very robust approach. When I say robust, we kicked this off with a departmental SWOT analysis, and that was to remind the city council of many of the things that you already know about what each department does and the things that they're responsible for, the additional things that they take on and accomplish. And really the purpose of that Friday evening presentation was also to educate the community. It's one thing to know, oh, you know, we've got a public works, but what exactly do they do? And so we had that. We had the Saturday workshop. We had interviews, one-on-one interviews with the council before that. We had a community survey. We had a staff survey. And through all of that work, we identified these 6 values: community pride, willingness to help, long-term sustainability, diversity, hospitality, and access to nature. And so when we take a look at that vision, what is the vision? It's long, I'm not going to read it all. But really, it's tight-knit, community-oriented rural town that values collaboration, diversity, and are stewards of the beautiful Mojave Desert landscape and the Marine Corps. We strive to be a place of financial sustainability that ultimately is going to allow our community to flourish. We are enterprising. We provide resources for our youth, elders, Marines, veterans, and families, and we create opportunities that encourage independent businesses to establish themselves. And lastly, we're welcoming. So what is our mission? And this really gets back to these values, this vision statement, this mission, is the creation of a North Star. What are we working towards? And that mission of the City of 29 Palms is to maintain and improve the quality of life for those who live, work, or visit our city by providing a safe, well-planned family atmosphere that is rich and diverse in cultural and natural resources and promotes economic and educational opportunities. So with our vision, our values, our mission, here are the major goals: financial sustainability, enhanced local character, improved infrastructure, access to resources, local tourism, the supporting of local tourism, and community outreach and engagement. So those are the items, those are the major areas or major umbrellas of the things that we want to accomplish in the next 5 years that will get us to the community that we see ourselves becoming in 20 years. And if you remember that exercise that we did on that Saturday, I thought it was a wonderful exercise. And that was, we had just had, because of Brianne DeSandre and the T-Bids work, we had this fantastic full-page front cover of the LA Times Weekly that talked about 29 Palms. And so what we did was we said, okay, we've just had this major success of being in the Los Angeles Times, the front cover of that weekend edition. Who do we, if there's going to be another article like that in 20 years, what does that article look like? And so ultimately, that's what we distilled back down. And so each of these strategic plan goals, as you saw in the packet, there are 5 items. There's the objective statement, there are the actions, there are metrics, there are timelines, and then there are lead departments. It's one thing to say, hey, we've got this goal, but when do we accomplish it? What does accomplishment look like, and by what department? So this is just an example. It's a very thick document, and we didn't want this meeting to go too long tonight, and that is financial sustainability, right? So this objective is to diversify revenue sources for long-term financial health and sustainable reserves. So this is where I will more or less conclude the presentation in terms of the minutia, and I don't know that this is necessarily the evening to get into the minutia, but this is just an illustration of what each of those goals, how they are broken down. So we've got the metrics, and then we've got the different strategies. This particular goal happened to have 6 strategies. So strategy A1, initiate programs and practices that enhance the local tourist economy. And then all of the different actions that we can do as a city to achieve ultimately that goal, right? Strategy A1, strategy A2, strategy A3. When those are accomplished, either in whole or in part, that moves us forward to accomplishing goal A. Strategy A2, explore and pursue tax-based revenue generating mechanisms. It's one of the things that I hear time and time again, how important our four-legged members of our community are. And we've got a animal shelter that the staff there are doing incredible work. We have had the highest survival rate in the history of the animal shelter, and that is because of that diligent, hard work. One of the things that we've got, unfortunately, is a substantially antiquated facility. And the way as a city, we're going to be able to replace that facility and give our four-legged community members the proper home that they need and deserve is through a tax measure. And so that would be part of strategy A2 is explaining a tax measure, what it means, and then what it would be used for. That's just one example of A2. A3, in the interest of time, we'll move this on. This is also something, I'll stop before I go on to the next slide. The Marine Corps is, our city is the city that it is today because of the Marine Corps and the people who are actively serving our country and the people who were serving, who have retired here, or maybe who have left the Marine Corps and are still working. And this strategic plan really tried to be intentional in identifying how can we as a city support the Marine Corps and improve the collaboration and the cooperation. And in fact, during the city manager update tonight, I'm going to talk about a category C waiver. So one of those steps to try to accomplish strategy A6. So we're back to this slide, and in red, this is where we are. So the goal tonight was to introduce this, was to showcase this, the work that has been accomplished by the consultants and the city manager's office. And really that work is really a function of the feedback from the community, the feedback from the council, the feedback from the business owners. And so certainly I can take notes tonight when I go back to my chair if there's anything that jumps out, or we can save that for the next meeting. Certainly you're welcome to email me between now and then. Any things, any tweaks, any additions that you would like to this draft strategic plan. Any questions?
Council questions? None? Alright. This is 12, right? Alright. To the public, Eric Mendez? Only one, right?
Hey there, Eric Menendez. I think it's great. You know, as you know, I wasn't able to attend the weekend part of the strategic plan, but I think on the first three, as far as financial sustainability, enhanced local character, and improved infrastructure, those are all great. I think we're doing really well with those. Some things I would like to see in the last three parts of that plan, as far as resources, local tourism, and outreach and engagement, would be a little more, number one, access to resources. I don't see a lot about healthcare, community wellness in there. As you know, I sit on the CHC board portion of the healthcare district, and one of the things we just received at our last meeting was the new spending cuts that are going to be coming through, or the cuts that are going to come through as a result of the big beautiful bill. And we have, I don't want to quote the numbers, but it's significant. So there's a very well chance we're going to lose about, I don't want to say the number, but it's over 50% of people in this area could lose their coverage, and which could cause us to lose potentially our hospital. It's going on around the country. I think you guys have heard about that. So I would like us to address that a little more. As far as tourism goes, I saw a lot of Rediscover 29 being involved there. As you know, I was one of the founding members of that. I think it's a great start, but I think we need to be more inclusive as to other organizations. It's my understanding that the local 29 Palms Chamber of Commerce is coming back, from what I've heard. And there are also other community organizations that I think should be part of those community metrics. And lastly, community outreach and engagement. I really think we needed a little more outreach and engagement. I remember a couple of months back when I had questions when the survey, the community survey was brought up, but I wasn't able to comment due to it being an informational item. I think we've never really had a chance to have a full-on community workshop to where we can actually get together and talk about the results of those surveys. So as we move the strategic plan forward, I think it's going to be pretty important to really push this out to the community to get people to talk about it and make sure it's what we all want as a city and as a community. So other than that, I think I commend the city for getting this forward. I think it's a lot of good stuff in it. I just think we need to make sure we have it perfect before we submit it. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to council. Any more additional questions? All right. That was just for review and discussion. Number 13.
Thank you, Mayor. So number 13 is really more of a cleanup item. So one of the things that our finance director had accomplished several months ago was she was constantly evaluating policies and ensuring they're complying with the various rules and regulations. And one of the things that was identified was the fact that our longevity pay, really a reward for the people who have stayed at the city for a long period of time and have continued to work hard for the city. There were some problems with it. There were some problems with really accessibility by some of the individuals who did qualify for the 15, 20, or 25. And there was also some issues with compliance with CalPERS retirement system. And that is specifically that compensation that is performance-based compensation is not something that is allowed to be included within CalPERS compensation. And so with a constant eye towards fiscal responsibility, this item was discussed with the budget committee, and those two council individuals realized that this is an opportunity to come up with a fairer system, a system that complies with CalPERS regulations, and also come up with a system that is more financially prudent for long-term financial stability for the city. And so a policy was discussed and ultimately voted on June 10th of this year and went into effect on July 1st. And one of the unintended consequences of that policy was the fact that that there was a little bit of confusion in terms of just a portion of how it was crafted, and then also there were a few folks who have spent an awful lot of time here working very hard, and they kind of felt like the goalposts had moved. And so then ultimately, through discussions with the council, I think city staff and the council realized, hey, this is the last thing that we're trying to do here. We're not trying to move the goalposts, and it's important to acknowledge those individuals who are those solid financial or solid professional performers. And so as a consequence, the policy exception here, this policy, was written up to provide a one-time payment that would be given to those 5 employees that meet the criteria. And that total cost to the city would be $5,000. And this would be a one-time, and this policy will not occur again in the future. Any questions?
Council questions? Anything from the public? All right, back up here for a motion, I guess.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the city manager to provide a one-time milestone catch-up payment as defined in the staff report.
Second.
Councilwoman Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Aye.
Mayor Bildrain.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you.
Number 14, affordable housing update.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight's update, this is really an opportunity to just generally discuss the good work that the Housing and Homelessness Committee is doing with respect to affordable housing and housing in general in the city. As I would imagine a number of the folks in the audience know, we've got Councilmember Scott and Councilwoman Ramirez, who are on that subcommittee. And so this really would be an opportunity for both of those council members, if they would like to have any discussion, to talk about some of the recent accomplishments, whether it be CVHC or NPHS. We even could talk a little bit about the East Desert Regional Steering Committee and some activity that's gone on with that. So without further ado, Councilmember Scott, Councilwoman Ramirez, would you like to contribute?
No update.
I beg pardon?
No update.
Okay. Councilwoman Ramirez, would you like to contribute?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A couple of things. Number one, I think that tackling an issue like housing, affordable housing, things of that nature, there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach for this. So I am open to meeting with everybody, all of the ideas. I do have some concerns, though, and I really am hoping that maybe the rest of the council can help me up here. And it might just be that I'm new and I don't know, right? But when a subcommittee is formed, do we have to meet in tandem with every person that we're working on? Or, you know, can Councilmember Scott have his initiatives and I have mine?
Well, normally when the subcommittee, if you had those, you two would get together before it's presented to the council with some kind of joint perspective of it. In other words, if you meet with somebody, he meets with somebody, you guys would get together, share notes, and then that's something you'd present. Now, I don't really think one individual, usually one individual committee member doesn't just give one-sided reports. I don't recall.
But I'm saying, like, if someone was to say, hey, April, I'd like to meet with you to discuss housing, do I have to decline that? Or can I meet with them? Or do we both have to be present?
Well, no, I don't think you both have to be present for the
Okay.
first one, but before you present what this person wants, it should go to your committee first. Since we do have a committee. If we didn't have a committee, then you wouldn't have to do that. But we have a committee. So if someone, in my opinion, if someone presented something to you individually, or or you initiated, then you say, okay, now we need to, I need to present this to the committee, which is you and Councilmember Scott, and then you come up with some kind of report to us, and then let us know what you think of that particular entity. I mean, is it good? Is it bad? Do you want us to explore it? You know, just.
Gotcha, okay. I
That's
just
my
wanted to
opinion.
clarify.
I don't know if anybody else is with that.
Yeah, that's how I see it, because it could be missed opportunities, you know, because you guys' schedule may not coincide. But before it comes to us, then I do agree that you need to meet.
Perfect, absolutely, yeah. And we've met twice this month already, which I think is more than some other, like most subcommittees meet, just based off of the other ones that I'm on.
No, I think you're right. We definitely met twice, and I appreciate your time. I only had really a couple of concerns, is that I just didn't have an opportunity to deliberate on some of the items within within the actual agenda item today. It's not to say that they don't have any merit. I certainly would welcome looking at those things. I just hadn't had that opportunity to deliberate on some of the items. But I do appreciate the time that you have spent meeting with me on the Coachella Valley Housing Coalition portion.
No, that's why I said in the beginning, there's no decision going to be made because neither one of you have sat down together on this. So next, if you guys do this, if the decision is made to go with, what's that program I just saw in NPHS, then you guys would have your local subcommittee, then you guys would bring it back to us.
Correct.
And your
Yes.
recommendations or not. So this was, yeah. But I've had meetings with people that I had to wait, and longer I waited for my subcommittee member, I was like, I'm gonna lose them, so then I had the meeting and then briefed my subcommittee member, and then we had a meeting with them, and then brought to council.
And
Yeah, that's a very good point, Mayor, because that has had happen. You meet with someone, then you can't meet with the other committee member, but the two of you talk, and then you can come up with a consensus, and then it comes to the council. So that's really,
And I just wanted to say that this was definitely not an attack on you, Councilwoman. I just, the city manager had said that he put it on the agenda, and I just thought that the process wasn't being followed, and I just wanted to pull it is all.
What is the process? But what I'm saying is, we had asked him, it was already a future initiated item to do a housing update, so.
I think Councilmember Scott
don't-
was under the belief that we're gonna make a decision tonight on it.
Well, it's a discussion item. Usually if there's updates, those updates would happen under city manager updates, or as you did earlier, and the rest of the council during council comments.
I might be able to contribute to that. The thought process of just discussion of potential action items, including in that, was just to ensure that there could be free dialogue on the issue amongst the different council members, myself, and then if the community wanted to opine, as opposed to just a brief update where there was maybe not the ability to have the type of dialogue.
Thank you for that, Mr. City Manager. We were going to have a roundtable meeting in September that was going to involve the public to have that dialogue.
Yes, Councilmember Scott, and I appreciate that, and I still think that is definitely something that we should do. This was just really more of a check-in. I know that you and Councilwoman Ramirez had a very productive conversation with CVHC, so I thought that might be valuable to present that or discuss that with the council and the community. Also, we could talk about, we briefly brought it up, the Milestone Housing Project, and then also NPHS. There was an offer that was received, and just to generally make the council aware of that, although certainly tonight, the purpose of tonight's discussion is not to take action on that offer, but really just more of a informational item.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
You have more update?
Let's hear from the public.
Mr. Melendez. That's it.
No, I think this is great that we're talking about Eric Menendez. I think it's great that we're talking about these. I think they're both all very important issues. I was just talking to Lieutenant Huff out there about some of the issues we're facing with criminal vagrancy, homelessness, all the things that we're having a tough issue with getting people housed. I think that Janet Johnson with the Morongo Basin Conservation Association and her working group. The next one is September 5th, by the way. It's going to be, I think, Joshua Tree Community Center, where we've been having those. I think these are great venues where we can all sit and talk, because it's not easy to do things under a 1 minute and 30 second, or 1 hour and 30 minute Brown Act compatible meeting, where we're coming up with a lot of solutions. One of the things that I am happy with as far as the healthcare district goes, they now have a staff member sitting in on it. And I've actually reached out to Tenant Healthcare, and they have had a meeting. They have been sending someone from case management from the hospital to sit in on these informal meetings. And I think that's important, because we all play a role. And at the social yards, we are working with with certain social service providers like Wellness Equity. We talk to them, and then we also talk to the district people and a few other people about getting people housed when they're in contracts through these housing grants and so forth for emergency housing. So I think we would be happy to host any working groups or community discussions at the social yards if that's of interest to anyone. And like I said, I was just talking with Lieutenant Huff about trying to see if we can get the deputies. I talked to, there's 2 sergeant and a deputy Camacho. It's a father and son, actually. But they come to eat at the social yard sometimes, and I was chatting with them about the problems we're having, and so they actually expressed an interest in being part of even the working group. So we're hoping to create more of a dialogue, because the more people in the community to come together, I think, is the solution. And I think we all want the same thing. I think sometimes we just have our own ways or versions of how we think it should be done, but I think the more we talk and work together, we'll have more success. Thank you.
Thank you. Back up here. Are you good? You good? No.
Do we have an alternative for the Homeless and Housing Subcommittee, an alternative council member? I'm deeply conflicted. I received an email a few months back from a constituent that brought to my attention, and I mean, it hasn't been a secret, that Councilman Scott does own property in a CVHC housing development. Is that true? Not true?
I have no financial
No, do you have a house in a property development that was made by CVHC?
I have no property from CVHC in the jurisdiction of 29 Palms.
I understand, sir. However, that same constituent brought to my attention, and I did follow up with a call to the FPPC to see if their concerns were valid. And the legal advisors from the FPPC did say that even if it's not in our jurisdiction, if it could be seen as a potential conflict of interest where we are going to vote on it or a governmental decision would be made, then you should recuse yourself from all of.
I have no financial interest. I have no financial interest in CVHC, and I will not recuse myself.
I guess I wasn't done speaking, but that's okay. I guess what I'm getting at is the email. So first we were supposed to, the first recommendation was we were supposed to buy the lots for CVHC. Then CVHC said, actually, you don't really have to buy the lots. We buy the lots ourselves. And then before one of our meetings, you sent an email suggesting that we gift CVHC $125,000 from the general fund. Not even housing money, from the general fund. All of this together is where my conflict lays. And I know that you said that, we should try to incentivize them to come here. And that so far, even after the educational meetings that they had, we still have had only one person submit an application, not the 10. All of this, in the spirit of transparency, is just making me really uncomfortable. And I wanted to say that to everybody. I would like to make a motion, I guess, to I can't have this subcommittee meeting. I can't go forward with any of this, knowing this information.
It's not on the agenda.
Can we get an alternative?
Put it on future council initiated items.
Okay.
In the spirit of the housing stuff, and we moving forward, you guys plan on discussing the NPHS movement? You guys be able to look into that as a subcommittee? Their proposal. Are you guys going to sit down and figure that proposal's good or bad for the city or where it stands? I'm going back on business topics.
On the topics, today. Well, we can certainly, we can certainly meet on all of the housing issues.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So
Yeah.
that's our discussion. That's the info on that. So subcommittee will figure out a date and time to work with NPHS.
And sir, there's, Mayor, there's some other things I can contribute when
Okay,
you're
go
done.
ahead.
When you're done.
I'm done.
Okay. So really the NPHS, that was an offer on the 3 acres that is west of City Hall. And that asset, that 3 acres, that had previously an approved plan with an organization called Milestone Housing. And the city attorney is actually going to be meeting with Milestone Housing to really evaluate the status of the potential contract that Milestone Housing either potentially has or certainly had at one point. And so no action is going to take place on NPHS or anyone else who may be interested in the site unless and until we identify that Milestone Housing is not in a position to move forward on that 3 acres. And so once the city attorney confirms that Milestone Housing is in fact not moving forward, then we can have more robust discussions about what can we do as a city on that site. And do we go out and do we obtain bids from, for example, CVHC? Are there other affordable housing providers that may have an interest in coming into our community? And so that is something that we are working with the city attorney to determine, in terms of, again, milestone, and then as it relates to that MPHS offer.
Yeah, that's gonna be a real complex issue because of the fact that we bought that, we used the bond money for that. So this is gonna be a process. This is not gonna be just, oh, move it here, move it there. This is gonna be quite a process after, even if Miles is done with the project. We don't even know if they're done yet.
That's right. We want to make sure that we, as a city, are living up to any and all obligations with Milestone Housing, and certainly, obviously, the city approved that project with Milestone in hopes that Milestone would move forward. And I believe that there's still that interest and that desire for the city to move forward with Milestone. And so really this is more of a discussion with them and with the city attorney to just confirm if the Milestone is not moving forward, then how do we navigate that? How do we move forward? Because ultimately we do have some small amount of money to contribute to the development of affordable housing. I think one of the challenges with affordable housing anywhere is really there's a number of items, one of which is the gap. What it costs to provide affordable housing is much greater than the money that you get from obviously renting it. Hence the reason it's called affordable, really subsidized housing. And so how do you bridge that gap? And so that stereotypically occurs two ways. One is by contributions from the local municipality, and maybe you even can get contributions from the county, although I don't know that San Bernardino does that a lot. Riverside County does. And then also with the utilization of tax credits. So unfortunately for us, tax credits, either 4% or 9% tax credits, that is a competitive process. And so our site, this 3 acres, is going to be competing against other affordable housing projects that are proposed throughout a region. And a region, I want to say, is not just the Morongo Basin. And so it's not a simple, it's not a straightforward project. I know that there was a project in Cathedral City that was quite remarkable. It was called Veterans Village, and that was a 60-unit project. It was attached to 2-story garden-style walk-up apartments, and it was on 8 acres, and that took about 4 years to put together. I want to say there were 8 different funding sources, and that project probably was finished 4 years ago. For the 60 units, it was about $32 million. So these things are not small projects. So anyway, so there's some dialogue on that. And then one thing that I thought it might be valuable just to talk about to the community, and that is that really we as a community will see more housing when there is more demonstrable demand. And then, of course, also when the house prices that are currently on the market begin to get close to the cost of a new build. And so if a market has houses that you can purchase for $250,000 and it costs $500,000 to build new houses, that's going to be very difficult to make that justification to investors in order to invest in new home construction. Now, if we had a situation where housing market was, let's say, $250,000, and you could build a new house for $300,000 or $315,000, then builders can generally make that leap because individuals, buyers, typically would prefer to buy a new home over a used home for a variety of reasons. So, I think that having, and Mr. Gardner is very responsive in trying to promote and support the development of housing, whether that be market rate housing, whether that be attainably priced housing, or whether that be the true subsidized housing. Government subsidies are required. So we, as I think city staff, are very supportive of that. There are just market conditions that make it difficult. So anyway, there you go.
Thank you. Now, I just want to address something real quick. So, yes, Councilwoman, you were CC'd on the email along with the finance director. I asked that maybe we could come up with some money to subsidize self-help housing, right? Because we've had meetings, especially in the workshops, that said maybe some people might not qualify if the house costs too much. And so it's common practice, actually, with CVHC and other self-help programs that cities would subsidize, not CVHC, but the applicants, so that they can actually qualify for the program.
That's not what you said.
It most certainly is.
All right.
All right, we're moving on to future council initiated items.
I'd like to restructure the homeless and housing subcommittee.
In a second. Let's see, this will be a future. It's not a future initiated item, so.
No second, apparently.
Due to the recent interaction and the conversation, I'm gonna look into it with the lawyer to see the legality of how everything works. If it's good, no change. If there is gonna be some kind of gray area, then we'll address it then. So can that be a future initiated item? Or that's just something I just gotta do?
Most certainly could be something that you could do.
I'll talk to Patrick. We'll
Yeah.
just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
So if there is an issue, we'll come back and
That's
address
right.
this situation. If it's not an issue, then we let it go as is.
That's right.
Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Let's go to public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues with the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and should not be consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out the name and address slips and give them to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments or specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. On a stump? This one?
Good evening, council members and staff. I'm here to update you on the Levitt grant. So it's fun, good news, music, art, love. Just as a recap, a couple months ago, 4 of us got together for a volunteer committee and we became an affiliate of Basin-Wide Foundation, so we have a nonprofit affiliation. We applied for a Levitt grant. There were over 300 cities and towns that applied. We applied for 29 Palms to get this big grant. And we advanced to the next level. 100 were chosen for this next level. So we are now in process of making a campaign, and the next thing that happens is from September 5th through the 15th, we have a voting period. Everyone in 29 Palms, the Morongo Basin, California, the whole nation could vote for 29 Palms. So we are trying to get out the word, and what we're trying to win is we're trying to get into the top 50 slots. This would give us a grant for $120,000 to provide free music concerts, family-friendly, family-oriented, in Freedom Plaza for 3 years, 10 concerts a year. And they would be 5 in the spring and 5 in the fall, with a theme of 29 Palms history. So it's really exciting. It would be an amazing community-spirited thing where everybody gathers and hears amazing music, both local talent and national talent, regional talent and national talent. So in a few days, we're learning the other cities that we are competing against. Please follow on Instagram and Facebook. We have 29 Palms Music and Vote 29 Palms Music. we're reaching out to lots of stakeholders, including the Youth Council is on board, the Rotary, the PAC is on board, and we're reaching out to lots of local groups to help us with this campaign. So we're really excited, and we'll hope that we're looking forward to working with each one of you too. So thank you very much. It's exciting, and vote 29, and we're going to win it.
Is it 29 or 29?
29, vote 29 Palms, and you'll see it plastered everywhere, hopefully. We're working on it.
Thank you. Christopher Stevenson.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I'm a resident of 74008 Rocky Road off of Utah Trail. I've been a resident there since 1995. Actually, just before I get into why I'm speaking, I just want to say thank you to the road crews who took care of a lot of work since yesterday's storm. So I really appreciate that, because, it was hard getting up Utah Trail and around other parts of town. Like I said, I've been a resident since 1995 of 74008 on Rocky Road, which is the west of Utah Trail and dead ends up into the national park. And I've seen a lot of good changes in those years I've lived here. Things have kind of come up and down, but in the last recent years, I've seen a lot of great things happen here in 29 Palms, and particularly with like the new Freedom Plaza. But one thing I have not seen is any changes to our road in our neighborhood. And I think there's been a kind of a back and forth between whether it's a city road that should be maintained or it's not a city road that's maintained, it's a private road. And over the years, we've had storms that have, caused some small, minor damage. This storm wiped out our road. It is not passable, not by anything. It is gone. Okay, and then luckily, Desert Knoll is from north of Baseline up to the end where it meets meets Rocky Road, is just barely passable. I have a Subaru Forester. I was just barely able to get up there. So we are residents. There's about 10, 12 of us that live up there. We've had some elderly people who were there who needed emergency services. I'm retired. My several neighbors are retired, older folks. So we need access from emergency services. And so I'm asking you to consider and look at what can be done, and is it considered a city road that the city will maintain? It's a little bit unclear. I believe it's one or two of my residents, and I came in this morning and asked and said, hey, are you guys going to repair that road? And I believe it's been put in as a request, but there seems to be some, not sure whether it's really properly a city road. I was really glad to hear the discussion of the new goals in the new city plan, and I did note that there was one of the goals is to improve infrastructure. So our road is part of infrastructure. So I would like to say that I hope you guys will consider that and look into roads that are, I know there's a lot of roads here in City of 29 Palms that are dirt roads, and people have to get up and down them, emergency services has to get down them. So again, I'm just asking that you look into our road. It's just really, we're way up there. We seriously get impacted, and I've been cut off from city services. I can just barely get to my house. I think I'm probably taking up my 3 minutes. I hear the beeper going, so thank you for considering
Thank
that.
you, sir.
Hi, everybody. Glad to see all these happy faces after this storm. A disaster like this does bring people together, and many of you said how you guys saw the community coming together. And I know as the city council and the mayor, that made your hearts warm. That made you guys feel good, right? That we care enough about this town. And you were saying about your goals, and in those goals you were saying that you plan on supporting existing needs like daily needs and long-term well-being and all those things. That's going to be great later on You know, and yesterday was an example of what our community is doing. Well, there's another part of our community. I'm not the only one, there's a bunch of us out there that are helping people, like my friend here, Bernice. She's been homeless for 8 years, okay? Recently, the SMASH team came out and started pushing people away, trying to arrest them, okay? What happened yesterday, what's gonna happen later is great. Give us a piece of land. I'll help police it. There won't be trouble. Give me a little porta pot. Give me a little recycling thing for the trash. Tivis, you were great. You came and helped clean up her camp one time before because she's disabled. She's unable to do it herself. Okay? She does not have any income at all. If it's not for the people in the community that come to help her, there is nobody. So if we could come together like we did yesterday for people that are housed, why are we discriminating against those that are unhoused? If we have future plans to sustain daily needs, and you guys want to encourage the tourist, why don't we start at home with the people that love this town enough to be homeless in it? She doesn't want to be homeless. I mean, a lot of people out there right now are saying, oh, they're all drug addicts and they want to be homeless. That's a huge, huge lie that people actually think out there. That's what a lot of the community thinks. But there's a few of us, like me and my husband, and I won't name the rest of them, but we go out there every day. We change bandages. The new outreach program has helped her, a brown recluse's Bitterfoot. We've got other people that can't even walk, they're in wheelchairs. They have maggots in their sores. I mean, this is an outrage. These are human beings. Sending the SMASH team out there to threaten and push them away, that is not the answer. Look at her. These are human beings, you guys. Give me a piece of land. I will help them. There's enough of us to help them. Give me a trash can. We will do this, but please, please, you guys, have some heart. They're human. Let us help the ones that don't want to do drugs, that don't want to be homeless. I understand there's a high crime rate, okay? But one bad apple shouldn't hurt everybody. Please. Bernice? You can say anything you want, honey.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bernice Corona, and I've been homeless for 8 years, as she said, Sonia. I just want to thank the Activius for helping us that day on Saturday, and appreciate everything you've done for us, even when you're not with the team to help clean up and stuff. I want to say to everybody, the residents and stuff, not look at us as we're bad people, because you know what? Not 9 out of 10 of us do mean well, and we are educated, and we have knots on our belts, and we're here not because we want to be here. We're here because things go bad. Today I'm here. I wasn't supposed to be here, but tomorrow anybody else can be homeless like us. So don't look at us. Don't look at us down. Don't downgrade us, because we don't deserve that. We deserve somebody to help us. One at a time, not all of us, but one at a time, we can make a difference. Everybody can make a difference. I'm not supposed to be here. I know that for sure, because my kids are looking for me. And I'm somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody in their life that's important. And just think about it. You guys are up there and have a house today, but tomorrow you guys could be in a nice spot, homeless. And it's going to feel ugly when people look at you down, and you think that you got no hand to help you. That's the part when you guys are going to say, like, oh, wait, we should have helped with somebody. And thank you.
Thank you.
Don't let a few bad criminals condemn them all, please.
Cindy Bernard?
Yeah, this is going to be short. Maybe there needs to be an etiquette subcommittee, because this is getting out of hand. In the last year, and especially in the last 7 months, there's been a considerable uptick in divisiveness at council and to some degree in the community. With regards to CVHC, 4 to 5 months ago, the councilwoman made out-of-context allegations against CVHC, implying they were litigionists. I spoke with Pedro Rodriguez of CVHC after that. He was, of course, shocked. And, of course, an organization that has been involved in providing housing for 30 years, 30-plus years, guys, and woman, is going to have an occasional lawsuit. I mean, give me a break. But she made those allegations in public and out of context. And again tonight, we have the councilwoman making allegations in public without running them by a city attorney first. That is just shocking, and I am shocked. Additionally, the city manager has a history of making inflammatory comments about residents in public and occasionally council, some of them about me. I am tired of it. Most recently in the Los Angeles Times, he called the people litigating against the city wealthy elites. We are not wealthy elites. There is no reason for him to go to the East Valley Regional Committee and accuse us of stealing from the homeless. It has to stop. Regarding the lawsuit, stay on the merits of the suit, city manager. Do not attack the residents. And regarding council, you guys need to stop attacking each other. This has to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Leanne Clark?
Thank you, Leanne Clark, 29 Palms Ministerial Association. And by the way, Anna reached out to the Ministerial Association, so I'll be getting information on what she shared about tonight as well. I do want to thank the city as well as Marjorie Smith of the San Bernardino County COAD VOAD. I'd also like to thank our city manager, Stone James, as well as Councilwoman April Ramirez regarding the recent Red Cross shelter training. This is something that we need here in our community, and we had 50 in attendance. And many of them, well, they were all basically church connected. And so that was held at Freedom Plaza from noon to 4 on August 16. And it was very productive, especially with what happened yesterday. And so this was our first trial run yesterday of text messaging and learning our positions from what we learned at that training. And I did want to report that Set Free Church Wonder Valley was able to assist a elderly senior woman today who had an issue with her roof after yesterday's storm. And so again, the whole purpose of it is for the community to be able to support the Red Cross and CERT once they determine the situation, and then be able to delegate to us what they need for us to do. So I just wanted to thank you all for that, because we are in need of that. And Minister Lashara May of the Sanctuary Church is a certified CERT individual, and she is the spearhead for our community, so we're very thankful for that. I also want to mention we have the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast on Tuesday, September 23rd, 7 a.m. at the Rastarita Cantina and Venue. It will be a free continental breakfast, and Mayor Bilderrain will be the keynote speaker. And also I did want to congratulate Kathy Dunbar. The Ministerial Association does have the Alex Roth Community Food Pantry as one of its local nonprofits that we do support throughout our year when we have various services for the community to attend and give. So thank you all, and appreciate. Lastly, with the last individual on August 29th, there will be a mobile shower and laundry at the Alamo Laundromat from 9 to 2. And so that is going to be available for those that are in need. And if you need more information, let me know.
Thank you. Council. All right. Everyone stay dry. Sandbags are at the city hall. What? Oh, I want to skip it so bad.
No.
Dang.
Yeah, no more than 30, 40 minutes.
Thank you.
So homelessness, I appreciate that, that individual's comments, that woman's comments in regards to homelessness. And, you know, a couple of things. The Sheriff's Department, they have a team that goes out probably every 60 days and really looks to contact individuals with really trying to move into housing and some of the basic enforcement. What was surprising was to find out that the Sheriff's Department has a team that I believe goes out every week to contact the unhoused, to see how they're doing, and to see if they can get into services. And that is not just a police officer and a patrol car going out, it's actually a special team. Their priority is not enforcement. Their priority is not arrests. Their priority is mental health, connecting to services. And typically, I'm not going to get this right because I don't have my notes in front of me. They go out with a team of, I want to say, 4 or 5 individuals, one of which is someone from Adult Protective Services. Another might be some sort of caseworker. So there's really kind of a multidiscipline team that goes out every week throughout our city to contact the unhoused to try to provide services. I know this was one of the priorities of the Housing and Homelessness Committee. And this is a recent meeting with the Wellness Equity Alliance. That is Miss LaShara May. She is a wonderful individual, active in the community, nurse practitioner, 29 Palms resident, of course. And what Wellness Equity Alliance is, that is a Coachella Valley-based organization that is expanding up here, likely thanks to LaShara May's efforts and some of Jennifer Art's efforts and the other folks on the team. And what that does is that provides essentially primary health care services in the field. So they'll literally go to the unhoused individuals in the field to provide those health care services. Then, of course, the city has had a very successful relationship previously with Molding Hearts. And there are other agencies out there to provide that. So if you're able to stay after the meeting, I'd love to get your contact information so I can figure out how to connect you with the service providers that are out there. Flooding. So if you were in town yesterday, you noticed that we had an awful lot of water that came down awful quick. It was remarkable. I've never seen something so substantial. I was driving 62 during the heat of it, and I was afraid that I was going to get water into the engine of my Subaru. Want to share with the community that we have about 2,000 sandbags on hand that we can provide people who need sandbags. And so that is a way that people can really help identify the weaknesses or the vulnerabilities of their home. And you can contact us for sandbags. The fire department is always great. They've got sandbags in front of their fire station. I spoke with County OES, Office of Emergency Services today, and I believe that they're going to be coming up with a shipment of potentially sandbags and other items that the community members may appreciate. There is a website. On our website, we have an ability for folks to log on and to enter into any road issues that they've got that they would appreciate Public Works going to try out and look at and or address. As you can appreciate, we've got 5 people on our road team. We've got about 150 miles of paved road, plus or minus. We have 5 people on our Public Works Department. And so they have done a fantastic job in the last 24 hours of cleaning those key roads and providing access. They are going to continue to do that. And just so the community knows, this was something I didn't know, and it's taken me a couple of times to realize. When we have an event like this, it will take the Public Works Department literally months to deal with the flows that we just got hit with in the last 24 hours. And so now recognize that there is other workload that they have that they either have to try to fit in or postpone. And so it's just months of additional work to respond to what happened yesterday and what potentially could happen tonight or tomorrow. NPA, so National Weather Service, they have been fantastic. I would encourage you to log on to their websites. They do incredible work. Their work is not perfect. As you saw in Texas, this is not an exact, infallible science. So they're doing the best that they can, but I would encourage you to stay on top of the weather. We are our PIO here and our city clerk, Ms. Viesquez. She does a great job of putting out information bulletins as we get them. I would encourage really to take steps to protect your home. Community coming together, that was something that we saw. Miss Leanne did a great job of talking about that Red Cross training. One of the things that would be fantastic if we could get individuals from our community, specifically different neighborhood regions, to get CERT trained. CERT trained is a great baseline communication training opportunity that would allow a few members to really step up and take a leadership role in the time of a disaster. How do you turn off water? How do you turn off gas? Is someone trapped in a house? How do you put out the basics of a fire? So I would absolutely encourage to get people to get CERT trained. Also, you saw yesterday people stranded in their car. If you can have some proper equipment in your car, that is always a good idea. Couple things that I'd like to just acknowledge are the professionals that went into responding yesterday. So we've got the Sheriff's Department. They activated their all-volunteer search and rescue team. They activated their dive rescue team. They had 15 deputies drop everything and show up and come out here. They had several running water rescues. Not quite swift water. We didn't have that much water that deep, but running water rescue. Fire department. They typically, we've got one fire truck in our community. They were able to put 3 engines and a battalion chief in our community. And again, as they always do, immediate response. They also had a couple of running water rescues. Morongo Basin Ambulance, that's not something we hear a lot about. That is a non-profit ambulance company. It's one of 2 in the state of California. They do an exceptional job, completely non-profit. So if people want to donate, that is a great place to donate to. Their executive director, paramedic Greg Bell, he got in the field, got in a unit, and he did that in order to get a 5th unit in the field able to respond to people who were injured. National Park Service, you saw them drop what they're doing and shut down key roads in order to help keep people safe. We even had the probation officers. They came out and they assisted. And of course, Miss LaShara May and Marjorie Smith always doing great work behind the scenes, coordinating with the Red Cross to get people help, and the Ministerial Association. So moving off of that, in the interest of time, we'll just briefly talk about a big win that, thanks to city staff, Keith Gardner, Christina Benton, and that was we were able to get an award from the EPA for $1.9 million, and this will fund a USGS, a United States Geological Survey study, and that will go to really helping identify what is the health and the stability, what is the quality of our water supply. We have high quality water. How do we make sure we continue that for the next 100 years? So special thanks to Matt Schrag from the Water District, Keith and Christina Benton. They were all vital in securing the grant. EDRC, this is the East Desert Regional Steering Committee. There was a grant that was provided last year, and for a variety of reasons, MUSD had to turn down their receipt of the grant, which was about $97,000. And so EDRC as a committee, we voted to reopen that application window for that $97,000 grant. And so the organizations that serve the unhoused throughout the Morongo Basin have the opportunity to apply to that grant and either get it in whole or in part in order to provide the needed services. So that is something that EDRC we are currently working on. In terms of future, and when I say we, I happen to be the co-chair along with Robin Schlosser. She really is doing the lion's share of the work there. Incredible to work with, and also Councilwoman April Ramirez. In terms of future agenda items, it was briefly discussed that we are continuing to work on the Boys and Girls Club, trying to advance that. I think as a community we desperately need that based on the feedback I get from the community and the council. Also, Keith Gardner may have mentioned that we are working on bringing that maintained and non-maintained road list to City Council on September 9th. That was supposed to be here tonight, but unfortunately we have a key member of the team out on a well-deserved vacation. Lastly, we're almost landing the plane here. The Marine Corps, how are we strengthening, goes back to that strategic plan. What are we doing to really strengthen that connection and that collaboration between the city and the Marine Corps? And this is pretty interesting, and that is a Category C waiver. And so that allows individuals from the community, they go through a very quick background check, they do it once a year, and then they can get on the base and they can access certain services. They could access the movie theater. They could access maybe some of the restaurants they have on base. And what that does is the more business the base does, the more money that generates, the more amenities they can bring for both the Marines and our community, including the golf course on base. We've talked about the Tribe, the new shuttle service that they've got going from the reservation to Freedom Plaza and up to the base. and ultimately Rediscover 29 and T-Bid. They have done a fantastic job in driving events. And that is all. Thank you.
September 9th. See you at the next meeting. This meeting's adjourned. Do you have her information? Do you have her information? Figure, get her situated.